between government and the youths. The Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development is conscious of the fact that our youth creative force, dynamic source of innovation that have catalyzed that have even catalyzed important changes. Power sharing dynamic also aware of the challenges facing the youths as they strive to contribute to the socio-economic development of Nigeria. In order to respond to the needs of the youths and guarantee that their basic human rights are recognized and enforced, young people's active and meaningful participation in their societies and in democratic practices and processes is of crucial importance. With limited opportunities and exposure to meaningfully participate in inclusive decision-making process, young men and women feel excluded and marginalized in their societies and communities. This has resulted in fragmented relationship between the youths and constituted authority. This, in some cases, led to the breakdown of law and order, which does not augur well for the development of Nigeria. Owing to this fact, the ministry is more than ever before committed to creating various participatory structures and greater trust between youth and government institutions for an enhanced relationship and to ensure effective service delivery in the youth sector. This is the agenda which this National Youth Conference is set to achieve. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am very impressed with the quality of representations gathered here from the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. This underscores the seriousness of the business we are here to transact on behalf of millions of other young people who are not privileged to be with us physically, but whose trusts we cannot afford to betray. All hands must therefore be on deck for us to deliver on the agenda of the conference. Let me conclude by commending our youth participants for heeding to this clarion call to build an inclusive nation where all citizens would be proud of. Once again, on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, I welcome you all to this very important conference. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Alhaji Sumaila Abubakar. In the meantime, before we launch you onto the next item on the program, let me very quickly recognize and welcome Ambassador and Head of Delegation of the European Union to Nigeria, Ms. Samuela Isopi. Over to you.
Thank you. And now to the welcome remarks. Please make welcome the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare. Please put your hands together for him as he makes his way to the stage for his opening remarks.
We're going to get some good little messages and all of that later. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
You asked me to chairman on youth and sports. I hope they're doing okay. Your Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Honorable Ministers, the Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Honorable Minister of State, Foreign Affairs, Honorable Minister of State, Education, representatives of the Honorable Minister of State, Trade, Industries and Investment, a representative of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture here present, our partner and supporter, the EU, the Ambassador of EU here in Nigeria, my DG, the DG of the NYSC, my sister, the Senior Special Advisor, Ajia Miriam Uwais, the National Youth Leader of our great party, Barrister Ismail, other important dignitaries, the last, but by no means the least, the very people for which we are gathered here today and for which I have a job, the youth of our country. Build the youth. Build the youth. I want to hear that again. Build the youth. Build the nation. Today, this morning, Nigeria joins the continent in marking the Africa Youth Day. But at the same time, thank you, at the same time, November 1 every year is a day dedicated to celebrate Nigeria's youth as a National Youth Day by the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. Africa Youth Day was initiated by the African Union Commission, making November 1st of each year, focusing to promote Africa's youth awareness, creation, and participation towards the Africa we want to develop. The significance of November 1st for the average youth and the activities around this day accentuates the youth agenda and concentrates our minds and commitment to do something and do more for the youth of our country. It is also a good opportunity to deepen youth engagements, conversations, and collaborations. But beyond all of this, to begin to act timeously in addressing the needs of our youth population. The decision, therefore, to hold a delegate-based National Youth Conference such as this was not a difficult one. After all, it is the season of the youth, with the radar on them as solution providers and the midwives of a better and more secured future. Your Excellency, Mr. President, we have received delegates from 35 states of the Federation. Most of them are still trooping in. Some of them are on the way. 10 delegates per state, and also a number of delegates from youth organizations. The decision to hold a delegates-based youth conference such as this was not a difficult one. But one thing was difficult, however: how to develop the thematic areas and design a conference template that will make the youth hold a conversation amongst themselves, with the government playing a listening ear. But beyond that, to see the youth come up with the workable solutions, suggestions and ideas that are able to be processed by the federal government. Let me pause here to thank President Muhammadu Buhari, whose commitment to youth development remains consistent. He has demonstrated his support for the growth of the youth of our nation in many ways. There is no time I seek an audience with him to discuss youth and sports matters that I have been turned back. And every time before I leave, he tells me, make sure you keep the youth busy productively. We thank Mr. President for the approval he gave to host the National Youth Conference. We will hear from him this morning through his able Vice President. And I think that it will be proper if I say Mr. President can be adorned with these titles: NPower, NSIP, NYIF, JFP, JIP, ABP, YFP, and many more. These are groundbreaking youth programs under President Muhammadu Buhari. The youth from this conference, of course, will ask the President for more. Mr. Vice President, sir, we thank you for being our midst. You are one person that navigates the youth world with ease, a youth mentor and a great supporter of the aspirations of the youth of our country. The youth of this country clearly also have a leader and a mentor in you. Across this velodrome this morning, you will find many quotes from our leaders on your left and on your right, and as you walk across the youth village. And also you find quotes from EU. I urge you to please take a pause and read them. They can be useful, and they are useful. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, one of such quotes rings out from you, and I will say that quote. Our young people are full of zest, ideas, and creative energy, and sometimes they get understandably frustrated with the inability of our institutions to keep pace with their vision and dynamism. But we must not let the agents of discord weaponize this frustration and turn it into a severe rupture within our country. End quote, Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibanjo. Nothing really captures the moment better. Nothing reflects on our situation better, showing us the challenges of our youth and challenging our youth to attain greater heights. Across the continent, the issues that tug at the heart of youth development are not far-fetched. When taken in isolation, they simply magnify. But when taken in relation to each other, we begin to see not just the problems, but also the solutions. The issue of youth inclusiveness in governance, employment, and security resonates well among the youth. We also find them high up on the agenda of the United Nations, governments, and private organizations. How do we bring our youth on board as learners and decision makers? How do we increase the investment in their skills and businesses? How do we provide funds for them? How do we support them to become self-starters and entrepreneurs, wealth creators and employers of labor, and many much more? Nigerian youth, and indeed African youth, have come of age. The youth of our country are setting new standards. They are breaking barriers and expanding the frontiers of innovation and technology. They are dominating the creative arts and entertainment. In government, we see young lawmakers across our country. Young people are leading organizations in private and public sectors. We do not need to look any further to know that the CEOs of tomorrow are already here. The leaders of tomorrow are moving into place. They are taking their places and positions. They are asking and demanding for things to be done differently and leading the way with the power of their ideas and the strength of their conviction. Today, I celebrate the youth population because of these great potentials, their creativity, and their determination to succeed. As a ministry, saddled with the responsibility of drawing up the pathway for the Nigerian youth, we knew we had to do things differently, in line with the vision and the policy drive of President Muhammadu Buhari. What we have put together in the next 3 days, supported by the private sector, is to showcase some of our creative minds and also produce a reflection of the issues that concerns them. Let me pause to congratulate all our delegates. Like I said, 10 from each state of the Federation and the FCT, members of the NYSC, the NYCN, and other organizations here present. Participation will be both virtual and physical. There will be general breakout sessions. We have over 10,000 youths already logged in online, registered to participate. At the ministry, our programs are out there very clearly. We have the DEAL program, we have the WP program, we have the NYF fund that is ongoing. In 2 years, we've trained close to 200,000, about 198,000 youths. And a myriad of other programs are ongoing. The NYF is focused on providing access to our youth to access funds for MSMEs. And so far, over 6,000 youth from across our country have benefited, with another 10,000 lined up to benefit after their training. We have strategic implementation partners such as the EU, who help us in training and also to deliver for the youth of our country. We thank the EU, we thank the IBM, we thank Google, we thank Microsoft, we thank Welco, we thank MasterCard, and many more partners. We also have sponsors who have made this possible. We thank the BOI as a headline sponsor. We thank the CBN as a headline sponsor. The EU, of course, Xenox, Suburban, Allogen, Access Bank, Stanbic, Fidelity, Nestle, and others. For many years, we have fondly referred to our youth as the leaders of tomorrow. But reality points to the truth. The youth are not just our future, they are our present. They must be involved in our politics, nation building, peace and security efforts, and other areas. While the youth have all the energies needed to power this nation, I believe it is time they understood the many processes and procedures that lead to political choices and decisions. They need to start appreciating that decisions taken by government may not necessarily be popular, but critical to national security and national development. They need to start understanding why joining and participating in political parties is essential to getting political powers. And I thank Mr. President, who 2.5 years ago signed into law the Not Too Young to Run bill. I hope our speakers will make such reference to this as we proceed. Undoubtedly, if there are any areas where the Nigerian youth stand tall and on top of the world, it's in sports, in entertainment, and the creative industries. Our music and movies are the biggest Nigerian export today, and we have not even scratched the surface yet. The giant strides of our youth in the movie industry, Nollywood, has placed Nigeria on a global pedestal, contributing at least $7.2 billion to our GDP. We now talk about the soft power of sports, entertainment, and the creatives. As a ministry, one of our most important obligations is to initiate programs that will support and continue to create opportunities for the youth of our country. Finally, let me say this. This conference is not about government standing aloof to watch the youth perform some stage play. It is not also the opposite. This conference is a collaboration. This is government and the Nigerian youth standing shoulder to shoulder, working together as one and staying on the same page to change the stories of our youth for the better together. Once again, I thank you for listening and I welcome you to this historic conference. Thank you very much.
Ordinarily, I would like to complain on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development, considering all that we're experiencing in sports in Nigeria today, the Honorable Minister deserves an applause that can bring down the roof of the velodrome. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Let me seize this moment to recognize some very important persons whose work for our dear nation complement the work going on in the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. First, let me welcome a lady of stature, a woman who understands the workings of Nigeria in and out. She is today the Honorable Minister, Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Talon. You're very welcome, ma'am. And seated at the extreme, depending where you're looking at the front row from, is Honorable Chukwuemeka Nwajuba, Minister of State for Education, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me also recognize in his absence Dr. Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, who is today represented by his Director, Extension Services Department, Engineer Frank Satumare Kudla. And of course, it's a fitting time to recognize the Director, Education and Youth Department of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Ede Ogaba. And last for this round of recognitions would be to recognize the Director, Network and Social Mobilization of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Mrs. Daura.
Thank you, Dr. Henry. It is almost impossible to talk about governance without talking to youth, and that is why we are here. To give the keynote presentation, please make welcome Mr. Femi Adeagbo. He's an IT consultant, and he will be speaking about strategic inclusivity, laying the foundation for youth in development and nation building. Please put your hands together for him as he makes his way up here.
One second, let's just do I just want to do the hashtags. And please, before Mr. Adeagbo speaks to us, let us please note that thousands of our youth are keyed into today's programs via the online channels made available for this. So, hashtag Let the Youth Decide is one such handle. The other will be hashtag NYCON21. Those are the two hashtags, and many are joined to this program now from all across the world. Thank you.
This mic, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, thank you very much. His Excellency, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, GCON, our host minister, Mr. Sunday Dare, ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ministers of state, they are represented or representing their ministries, EU ambassador, Nigerian youths, I skipped the DJ NYC, very sorry about that. Let me stand on existing protocols. Good morning, great Nigerian youth. We can't hear you. Good morning. Excellent. Initially, I was going to start this keynote speech with the words of Sir Winston Churchill, and I'll explain in a minute why. But as I contemplated this, I bumped into a friend of mine at the lobby of a hotel in Abuja, the Transcorp Hilton, and he attacked me. You see, the country is upside down. They've ruined everything. You know, it started this very toxic narrative. So as we bantered and argued about this, he grabbed the first young person he could see and said, "Is the country working? Yes or no?" She demurred for a very brief second and said, "Actually, it's on the mend. Yes, it is actually." And then he faced her and started an argument. And then he grabbed her friend who was walking behind her and asked her the same question. And as she paused for a moment, he said, no, you guys, something must be wrong with you. And you know, so the young lady said, "Actually, it's not perfect, it's not near perfect, but it's on the fix. We're here. You're in a hotel with 680 bedrooms and you cannot get a room. And besides, I actually facilitate investments into Africa, and investments are coming into Nigeria." So I said, "Young lady, please, can I quote you? I'm at a function in 2 days' time." She said, "Please do so." Her name is Bamidele Uwola, and she is the CEO of investments into Africa. So that was a very, very interesting episode in that sense. But still, the words of Sir Winston Churchill, I believe, hold some great lessons that I want our youth to theatre through. When Sir Winston Churchill, who was a British Prime Minister, that's fine, was called upon to form a war cabinet to face the tragic events of the World War and the invasion by Germany, he stood and said these famous words: "I say to the House, as I have said to ministers who have joined this government, I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. We have before us an ordeal of the most grievous kind. We have before us many months of struggle and suffering. And you ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word: it is victory. Victory at all costs, victory in spite of all terrors, victory however long and hard the road may be. For without victory, there is no survivor." And when you look at these words and you juxtapose them upon even our national narrative and situation today, you will find that nations are built and forged not through cynicism, not through reflexive criticism, not through self-deprecation at every turn, but through courage, commitment, and conviction. These virtues are actually found more in youth, who have many more decades ahead of them than perhaps many of us adults here who do not. And we can't all run away. No, we can't. The nations we salivate about, they fought to forge their realities today. And many have their own problems too. I don't mean to demean any country, but if I said to you a country in Europe in 2019, a country with a $52,000 GDP per capita, had 267 bomb attacks, would anybody believe me? Happened in Sweden, 2019, 267. The drug gangs in Sweden are now fighting with bombs and grenades in Malmö, in Gothenburg. This is the reality of the world we are slipping into. So therefore, we must continue to highlight the problems we have. We must continue to hold our leaders to account. But we must also highlight the resilience that we show daily in many aspects. The societies we admire and lust after have evolved from mysticism, ballot snatching, rowdy conduct, all these things that rightly or wrongly still define us. And when you swim through dangers for asylum in other nations, you will never be respected as equals. And what does it say about us? What does it say about us Nigerian youths? It will suggest that we cannot solve our problems. It will suggest that we are people who choose to cut and run. It will suggest that we are people who choose to break rather than build. That cannot be who we are or who we intend to be. It is not the spirit that breeds in our youth. Respect, in the global context especially, is earned and sustained through economic capacity, cultural depth, scientific accomplishments, and the quality of life enjoyed by people in a society. So that we are gathered here today is proof that the youths are now recognized as critical stakeholders in national development discourse. And I think you should give yourselves a round of applause for that. And there's a parable, an old one. Some people say it's from the East, some say, anyway, it's a parable. It says, true progress is made when old people build houses they know they will not live in. So the adults you see here today are building those houses for you because you are our children, and adults or parents cannot wish ill for their offspring, for you are the legacy and continuity of the Nigerian story. And youths of Nigeria, fellow excellencies, you will hear from some of these youths and adults too, and a lot of them are doing amazing things, as the Minister of Youth and Sports Development alluded to. You will hear from Banke Olaiwola, who flies one of 4 Boeing Dreamlifter planes in the world. She started out of Ibadan. And Arik, first black African woman to do so. She will join us virtually from Japan, I believe, at some point during deliberations. You will hear from Bruce Ayonote and Suleiman Azika, who started Suburban Legend when they were in their 20s. Today they sit atop a company that employs hundreds of young people and generates billions, and they provided the connectivity that we enjoy here today without charging a penny, when other youth unfriendly companies wanted as much as 20 million. They heeded the call, they deployed within 1 day, and it was done. You will hear from Dotun Kokola. You will see an amazing work by the entrance of Shango. For those who know a bit about African mythology, Shango is the god of thunder, and he holds power in his hand. Dotun is globally renowned, sought all over the world, ships his work to America, Qatar, lectures in the US, and specializes in waste to wealth using scrap metal. He has met with the Minister of Youth and Sports Development. He has met with the Minister of Information and Culture as well, and been encouraged. So when we called on him, he brought that amazing piece, which you see at the entrance. But that piece should say something to our youths. The power in the hand of Shango to bring light to the pathway of our youths, the power to dominate the environment, because cultural power is very important. And our creatives are defining the global space, as the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports Development mentioned. In fact, I don't need to repeat that aspect. But to add that only last month, for 6 weeks, a Nigerian dominated the #1 spot on the US Billboard chart. Adult radio play, not digital download. Wizkid anthems, Essence, 6 weeks at #1 on the US Billboard chart. If people who understand, give him a round of applause, please. People who understand the power of that would understand how significant it is. And the adults are still punching too. Aliko Dangote is almost done with the construction of the largest single train refinery in the world. 40,000 people report there for work every day. Innocent has expanded his facility with the help of BOI. He's doing amazing things, 70% local content. We're assured that about 700 federal roads will be commissioned next year. So this is a nation on the mend. And Nigeria, in my view, and I want this to be something we explore over the days, is not the basket case that many cynics want us to believe. Cynicism denigrates. It's a Trojan horse. It builds nothing. And I believe that our deliberations over the next few days, and they need to be very bold and frank deliberations. The youth need to bring their issues to the table, seek understanding, but come with an open mind, devoid of narratives that are often fake and false. So, in conclusion, I want to leave us with this thought. If the adults have behaved in very bad ways, we are guilty. But be better. Be better. So that you can say, look at how we did it. You cannot stand on the excuse that, oh, look at what they did, so we are just going to do worse. That is not a youth population that will compete globally. And you, Nigerian youths, are global world beaters. In conclusion, I want to ask you the following questions, and I want you to say, yes, we will. Not yes, we can. No. Not yes, we can. We will. Will you be the ones to take the turn to take Nigeria from the realms of potential to actualization? I want to hear, yes, we will. I can't hear you. Will you be the ones who say no to politicians who wish to buy your votes, but said no, we will vote for people of integrity on the conviction of their argument, their antecedents, and the vision they have articulated? Will you be the one who will build fantastic skyscrapers, plan wonderful urban cities, challenge your leaders at all levels to account for your resources? Will you be the ones? Will you be the ones, finally, who will elevate patriotism over parasitic behavior? Will you be the ones who will not be leeches but builders of Nigeria? I can't hear you. Will you be builders, or will you suck from the life of Nigeria? What will you be? Will you be builders? Will you be builders? Will you be builders? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi, for that insightful keynote. I'd like to recognize the presence of the Minister of State, Trade, Industry and Investment, in person of Ambassador Mariam Katogum, ably represented by Dr. Ahmed ably represented by Dr. Ahmed Mabudi Bashar. I would also like to recognize the presence of the Chairman House Committee on Youth in person of Honorable Yemi Adaromodu. Please put your hands together for him. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we also have the Director, PRS Department, that's Planning, Research and Statistics, representing the Honorable Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, SAN. I have a special message before inviting His Excellency the Vice President to come and deliver his address to us today. And this is a message coming to us from the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, Dame Pauline Tallen. Dame Pauline Tallen, for those of you who may not know, is actually wearing a cast this morning, but she insists that she had to be here simply for one major reason: to ensure that the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has observed full gender parity at this occasion. In spite of the fact that she has essentially only one arm functional at this time, she is ready to continue to fight and box you, Chief Sunday Dare, just in case in this hall it is not 50% men and 50% women. That is the only ratio that will make Honorable Dame Pauline Tallen happy. So we know that she's not going to be throwing any punches, but for her aspirations and her thinking, let us give her a round of applause of encouragement. And so the hour has come. We know that later on today we would be launching the National Youth Action Plan for security, for peace and security. But right now His Excellency the Vice President needs to move on to other urgent matters of state. It therefore behoves me to seize this moment to ask all of us to give the biggest applause of the afternoon to His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SANGCON.
Thank you very much. Please sit. The Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dare. The Honorable Minister for Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. The Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, Mrs. Pauline Tallen. Honorable Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Zubairu Dada. The Honorable Minister of State for Education, the Honorable Chukwuemeka Nwajiba. Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment Programs, Mrs. Mariam Uwais. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Ismaila Abubakar. Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Shuaibu Ibrahim. Her Excellency, the Head of Delegation of the European Union Delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Ambassador Samuela Isopi. The keynote speaker, Mr. Olufemi Adeagbo, the Secretary General of Mission West African Youth Congress, all our youth ambassadors present, members of the National Youth Service Corps, and all Nigerian youths present, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say first that I am today bringing you first the felicitations of His Excellency the President, President Muhammadu Buhari, who, as you know, is currently attending the COP26 conference in Glasgow in Scotland. He's asked me to wish you well and to say to you that he will be very anxious to receive all of the resolutions that will be made here at the end of this conference. So I will be presenting his speech. I'm delighted to be able to join you at this maiden edition of the National Youth Conference and to commemorate our National Youth Day. The theme of this conference is Energizing the Youth for Development, Inclusiveness, Governance, Security and Employment. And this speaks directly to the imperatives of this present moment in our nation's history. Ours is a country of young people, and the cliche that the youth are only leaders of tomorrow is now well discredited. The fact is that young Nigerians are currently at the front lines of every consequential struggle for our future. Every consequential struggle that is being waged today. They are serving as members of our armed forces and security agencies, laying down their lives, risking life and limb in the battle against terrorists and other forces of anarchy. They are in civil society, advancing the struggle for a fairer and a more just and humane society by promoting the rights of women and ensuring that concerns and interests of the vulnerable remain at the center of our society's attention. Because of the labors of our youth, in addition to being home to the third largest film industry in the world, we are the epicenter of a global and Pan-African popular culture anchored to the dynamism of Nigerian creatives. We are home to celebrated and award-winning writers from Chimamanda Adichie to hundreds of younger Nigerian writers. In one Grammy Award ceremony, 2 Nigerian musicians, Burna Boy and Wizkid, won awards. Our sportsmen and women are in world-breaking records and they are winning medals. The likes of Ese Brume, Tobi Amusa, Enoch Adegoke, and Blessing Oborodudu. These are all young Nigerians who are doing great things in sports. They are also young Nigerians riding the crest of the wave of the information technology revolution. And they are pioneering new patterns of enterprise and wealth. And in the process, they've established this country as the most vibrant innovation hub on the African continent. There are several unicorns and promising startups in Nigeria already. In the fintech sector alone, we have at least 5 unicorns. And when you say a unicorn, that is a company that is worth at least $1 billion. Flutterwave, Paystack, OPay, InterSwitch, all valued at more than $1 billion each. In the e-commerce sector, we have Jumia. We also have PiggyVest, a wealth management platform that at the end of 2019 had helped about 80 million users. And all of these are persons who are doing incredible things. Our tech entrepreneurs and innovators are not just applying their talents to profit-making endeavors, but also seeking to address social problems. People like Sadat Aliyu, who runs a tech hub in Kano. He has developed an app for reporting cases of sexual assault. Only recently, the Canon Young Champion of the Year Award, which celebrates the achievements of young people around the world who are driving social and environmental change, went to Alabi Samuel Anjola Oluwa in the under-21 category. His inspiration project is titled Students of Ibadan, and it shines a light on the struggles faced by underserved poor students in the city of Ibadan. The genius of young Nigerians for invention is evident. You know the likes of Silas Adekunle, the robotics engineer who invented Mechamon, the world's first intelligent gaming robot. Max China, who at 26 invented the Genesis cooker, a smokeless stove. This is a stove that addresses the problem of smoke pollution, which kills almost every year 4 million people. You can also speak of the likes of Ejikeme, Patrick Nwosu, an organic chemist who has invented a fire retardant paint that could drastically mitigate the risk of fire outbreaks. How about outstanding young teachers in primary and secondary schools? The award-winning Henry Anumundu, who has been recognized for his effective teaching of primary school children in very poor communities. Oluwabumi Anani, the 2020 winner of the Maltina Teacher of the Year Award, recognized for her revolutionary teaching in English and English literature for senior secondary school students in Yola in Adamawa State. Across the world, our most potent ambassadors are young Nigerians who are breaking new grounds. They're breaking records and winning laurels in diverse fields of endeavor. We recognize that our young people are this country's most strategic asset. Investing in them is clearly investing in the economic strength and development of our nation. This is why my administration has established initiatives such as the 75 billion National Youth Investment Fund and the Central Bank of Nigeria's Creative Sector Fund. It is why I recently approved the Investing in Digital and Creative Enterprises, the iDice program, an over $600 million program supported by the AFDB, which will support young tech and creative sector entrepreneurs through the provision of finance for their businesses, finance for training in skills development, and also finance for infrastructure. Earlier this year, we partnered with the UNDP and the private sector in the Jubilee Fellows Internship Program. And under this program, for the next 5 years, every year, 20,000 students after their youth service will be given internship opportunities in private sector companies and in public agencies. The idea is that these interns, these participants, will gain relevant career and life skills that will enable them transition seamlessly into the professional or business or public sector, while also earning a very good pay during the period of the internship. Every youth corper who is here today is eligible to apply for that, to be one of the 20,000 that will be chosen as a Jubilee Youth Fellow. And during the course of the internship, when you will be attached to a private company or a public company, you will be paid for that entire period, for the entire year. And this is, as I've said, a joint effort of the federal government of Nigeria and the UNDP. I've also, as you must be aware, approved the increase of the Empower Beneficiary Scheme from 500,000 beneficiaries to 1 million. Because young people constitute the majority of our population, they are, both by default and design, the very center of all of our efforts to stimulate growth. From our social investment schemes and all of the other innovations in the economy and support for micro and small and medium enterprises, we have placed the interests of our youths at the heart of our policy making. Despite these efforts, I still think it is natural and inevitable that there would be a degree of tension between a generation at the vanguard of innovation and the establishment. Young Nigerians often feel frustrated by the inability of our institutions to keep pace with their drive, with their aspirations, and with their dynamism. I can certainly relate to this, for believe it or not, I was once a young person too. While differences of opinion in respect of official policies is normal in liberal democracies such as ours, but out of respect for the rights and sensitivities of others, disagreement must be temperate and channeled through legally and socially acceptable means. Disagreement must never mean destruction. It must never mean violence. If it does, it will destroy the very basis of the progress that we expect to have. Most importantly, we must keep our faith in our country and remain optimistic that it will serve as the center and locus for fulfilling all of our aspirations. Building a nation is an intergenerational endeavor. I think that this is a particularly important point. Government can be changed in electoral cycles, but the destiny of a nation is shaped across generations. This country is ours, above and beyond partisan squabbles, disagreements, and everything else. The future will be what we make of it. In these days, when we seem to be assailed on all sides, it is natural to fear for the future and to nurse anxiety about what holds tomorrow. However, this is not the time to give up or to succumb to despair. This is the time to engage and to work more assiduously to build the country of our dreams. The successful Not Too Young to Run campaign, which led to the legislation that expands opportunities for political inclusion of young Nigerians, is a sterling example of how dedicated youth advocates initiated and saw through a key piece of political reform by working through the system, by insisting on following the rules. It is evidence of what can happen when Nigerians from diverse backgrounds make common cause. My signing into law of the Not Too Young to Run bill almost 3 years ago opened the door for youth inclusion in our political process and by extension in governance. It is my belief that young Nigerians should organize, mobilize, and participate fully in public affairs. Your contributions are invaluable to the debate on what sort of future we want. Your engagement in political life is about participating in the campaign to ensure that Nigeria works for all of us. The big policy questions of the day: how to transform Nigeria into a first world economy that provides high levels of good paying work, welfare, security and equity for its people, are questions of particular relevance to your generation. But so also are the challenges that attend all massive social and economic transformation in a diverse society. Our present challenges are therefore neither unique nor exceptional. The task of lifting people out of poverty, of promoting economic growth and social justice, healing communities torn apart by conflict, addressing social grievances, historical grievances, doing justice, and forging a common identity in a diverse society is one that many nations throughout history and across the world have had to tackle. It is within our power to emerge from them even stronger as a people. This is why you must reject the temptation to inherit the biases and prejudices of your parents, the biases and prejudices of many who have gone before us, or have seen the country through jaundiced eyes of some in generations that have gone before you. The lesson of history is that the world's most successful nations are those that have learned how to harness the power of diversity. I urge you to build the networks, the partnerships and alliances in life, in business and politics that transcend ethnicity and transcend race and religion. Diversity is an opportunity to learn, to make new friends, and to add to the wealth of your experience as human beings. By the same token, do not be captives of nostalgia. Be wary of the invocation, those who say the good old days, those who speak of a lost golden age that supposedly existed before you were born. There was no such era. Every generation makes the most of the time that it has. Your forebears played their part in their time. You must also seize yours. In the words of our nation's first president, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, I quote, "Youth is the golden age of man." Youth is the golden age of man. There is no more golden time than the present that you are in. So seize it. Progress is not made by looking back, but by looking ahead. Your generation has been gifted with so many tools and opportunities. You are at the most developed time in the history of the world. You are at the most developed time in the history of technology in the world. Everything that you have today was much, much better than previous years. So with this, you can shape not just your destiny, but the destiny of your nation. It's up to you to use them well. Refuse to succumb to hopelessness and easy cynicism. By all means, you must learn the lessons of history and be diligent students of memory. But the future will be defined by our capacity for visioning and innovation, imagination and reimagination, invention and reinvention. That is what will determine the future. To speak of a new Nigeria that is not bound by prejudice and divisive narrow-mindedness, but defined by a progressive spirit of liberalism, of enterprise, of innovation, of mutuality and openness is to speak of a new breed of Nigerians who manifest these values. Gathered in this place here today are young Nigerians from diverse backgrounds, different ethnicities and creeds, and you represent that new Nigeria. Your generation will lead Nigeria into its best era yet. While I do not subscribe to the notion that youths are leaders of tomorrow, as I said, I don't subscribe to that notion. I nevertheless know it to be true that the future does not arrive until it is imagined and produced and modeled in the present. Birthing the future requires us to engage even more deeply in constructive endeavors that build up communities, whether through public service and politics or enterprise and political activism. Young Nigerians are the best of us. They are our reservoir of hope and creative optimism. All that is good and great about us as a people is inherent in our young people. I know of no other set of people as obsessed with constant self-improvement as young Nigerians. At home and abroad, this drive to not just be better, but to be the best that they can aspire to be is what defines us, and this makes us all very proud of you. I urge you to continue to seek the path of self-actualization. On the part of government, we will, as an administration, continue to support your efforts by creating an environment that enables the fulfillment of your dreams. It may be difficult, but we will get there. In conclusion, I want to ask you to boldly and with commitment continue to ensure that the Nigerian youth and this great Nigerian dream remains at the heart of everything that you do. For us, it will remain at the heart of our investment and development agenda. I look forward to receiving the outcome of your deliberations from this conference with the promise that government will process it quickly and seek the implementation of relevant aspects for the benefit of the young people of this country. Wherever you are in this country, whatever it is that you are doing, keep moving. Don't look back. You will win eventually. Keep moving ahead. Whatever the situation, we move. Whatever the situation, we move. We move. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from His Excellency the Vice President. Please be seated. Whatever the conditions, we move. Nigerian youth, are we ready to move? Are we ready to move? Well, let someone come forward and tell us how ready we are to move. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, there is a special message for Mr. President from the youth of Nigeria. And to deliver that message is a young project officer working in civil society, a company called Leadership Empowerment and Resource Network. Please let us welcome Miss Oluwapomile Rebecca. Where is she? All right, step up, step up, step up, step up.
Your Excellencies, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my father, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, honorable ministers here present, my fathers and my uncles and my aunties. It's great to see you here present, advising us young people. And hoping that we do better than you're already doing. Because this is the only way that we can do that. If we don't get direction from you, we can't do it better than you. And I'm happy that you're here to teach us and to direct us. Thank you very much again. Now, the message that young people have for Mr. President. First of all, we would like to thank him for everything that he has been doing for young people since the beginning of this administration, since 2015. However, just like you know, just like your own children at home, and just like every one of us, young people, we always want more because we have the energy. We believe that we can do a lot of things with the time that we have. Just like Mr. MC mentioned, we young people always want to do more because we have the time and we can do it just by your counseling, the inclusive space that you give us, the space, the finances, your support, which is more important for us. First, the first thing that I would like to say is that youth inclusiveness in governance is very, very important to us. We would like you to include us, whether by nomination or by election. Please, we would like you to support us. When young people come out and say, please vote for us, don't look at the experiences that you think that we do not have. With you beside us to direct us and to show us, we can do it. We are ready. We are ready to listen. We are ready to follow. We are ready to learn from you. Secondly, we always want more jobs. More jobs. More jobs. Creation of more jobs. We need more jobs because we need money to fund our lives. And the only way that we can get money is by working. We know the importance of hard work to your generation, and we are ready to put in that hard work. Thirdly, affordable housing. Please, sirs and ma'as, we need your support when it comes to housing. We can't afford the houses that are out there and pay for 12 months. If it is possible for us to pay on a monthly basis, please, there are ways that you can help us to do that. Fourthly, enabling environment for every one of us. In education, we want more teachers, more lecturers, more young people, people who are facing current conditions and can let us know what is happening. So we know, okay, this is what is happening right now. These are solutions that are being provided, and these are solutions that we can apply to these problems. Lastly, power supply. Power is very, very important, and we can't say this enough. But we want to thank you, like I said before, for everything that this administration has done for us. You have done so much, but we are asking for another much. Like Mr. Vice President said, we move. Young people, we move. We move. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you.
That does not sound like an applause coming from a group of young people who are ready to move. Can you show with your hands that you're ready to move? Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, please just indulge us for 2 minutes. First is some housekeeping announcements. After this segment, the Vice President and all of the dignitaries on the front row only will make their way to the exhibition just outside of this velodrome. Please, we want only the VIPs on this front row to accompany His Excellency the Vice President on that inspection of the booths outside. As the good citizens that we are, we expect everyone to remain seated here for no more than 10 minutes, and we would return to continue with the plenary session. In the meantime, before we leave, I would like to respectfully re-invite His Excellency the Vice President and all of the dignitaries on the front row to come up on stage here for a quick group photograph, after which we will take the national anthem and His Excellency would depart. Please, all of the VIPs on the front row, can you come straight up onto the stage, please, now? And we get the photographers aligned properly. Please, photographers, just stay on a straight row round about where you are now. Okay, after this. This is too long now. Some should come on up here. Please, everyone not on the front row, please go back to your seats, please. Please, everyone not on the front row, go back to your seats. We will do this group subsequently. We will do this group after now. You want them in? Okay. They won't stand in front of you. Okay, so we'll get some young people on the front row who will squat. Okay, that's fine, please. Now we are making this rowdy, please. Take these pictures now and then. Okay, photograph session over. How are you going to do this? Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem, Federal Republic of Nigeria. National anthem. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Please remember the instructions. Only the VIPs are to accompany the Vice President on the tour of the exhibition stands. The rest of us will sit down. I believe the police band can give us some music whilst for the next 10 minutes, please. If you do, we'll be delighted. Thank you very much.
Snap da yawa ko mai ma hannu wata?
A yi min normal hoto.
Snap ya yi kyau.
Ko? Wanda kamar ɗaya ina magana.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all.
Hello. Please, this is an announcement to all the youth who are seated on this high table now, on the stage. We want all of you down, please. Every person seated on this VIP chairs, you're not meant to be here. Please go down now. Please, can you please step down now? Thank you. Please, everyone, please. Please, let's be patient. In about 5 minutes, the program will continue. And I plead with all of us to help us retain the sanctity of the stage that we have. Please, thank you.